We're approaching Labor Day weekend, and so today I have some thoughts about that as it relates to the life of faith. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. It's good to be with you, as always. This episode is being taped in the week prior to Labor Day, which is next Monday, September 5th, if I'm remembering the date correctly. And Labor Day is one of those, I guess I'd call it one of those inflection points in the year that marks a transition from sort of one part of the year to another part of the year. In this case, sort of from summer to the, pick your word for it, program year, academic year, what some people call the real start of the year. And so at those inflection points, I always think it's kind of important to maybe take stock, to pause. And so I want to suggest a couple of things this morning for you maybe to consider or think about or reflect on. The first of which is maybe just to look back over the last 2 or 3 months of the summer and try to pay attention or remember where God has been present for you during those summer months, through activities you've done, through relationships you've rekindled or rebuilt or had a chance to reconnect with, through travel you may have done, through other experiences. Just take a moment to pause about that, reflect on it, and then say to God, thank you for those experiences, for those relationships, for those opportunities to maybe rest and be refreshed, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, as you anticipate the start of this next part of the year, again, maybe a good word is to take stock of where do you sense God leading you or calling you. And I'm not saying by any means that God only works through the church, but I will say that here at St. Philip the Deacon, I mentioned this in worship yesterday, we've been talking about it for the last few weeks, there are a whole lot of opportunities for fellowship, for growth, for service. If you're interested, you can find those at spdlc.org/register. But there may be all kinds of other ways that you sense God is calling you in this next chapter of this particular calendar year. So I'd invite you just to sort of, before we rush headlong into the fall, to sit down, pause a bit, and reflect on that question. Where is God leading me right now? What is God inviting me to do? What is God asking of me? And then maybe make some plans to try to lean into that. So those are the two sort of main points I guess I want to make this morning, simple points. Take a moment to look back over the last few months and take a moment to anticipate where God may be leading you. I've got a request for you this morning as well, which is I do believe for, well, its entire existence, one of the gifts of the Christian church, one of the blessings of the Christian church has been the blessing of connection and community. And that happens sort of, I would say, organically through the kind of worship and service and fellowship and learning opportunities local churches offer. And this fall, once again, I assume that we will be sort of have more people here, more people signing up for activities, which will allow for those connections to be made. One of the new things, of course, happening in this moment in the life of the church is precisely this kind of thing. Digital activities, hybrid activities, online worship or learning or service. And one of the things we are kind of sitting with at St. Philip the Deacon is how do we, through these kind of tools, continue to build community and connection. And so we're certainly thinking about that. We're reflecting on it. We're attempting to figure out ways to do it. But if you have ideas on the other side of the camera about how that might happen, I would love to hear from you about those. Just yesterday in worship, I lifted up an upcoming, it's the start of this year's Faith and Life lecture series on October 13th, Thursday, October 13th. I anticipate we'll have a whole lot of people who are here in the sanctuary to hear Arthur Brooks, but I also anticipate we'll have a whole lot of people watching remotely. And if you have good ideas about how we can use moments like that to build community and connection, to deepen relationships between folks who are listening to those kind of events on a screen somewhere. I would love to hear from you about those. And then, of course, as always, I would also love to hear from you if you have ideas about topics you'd like us to address in this podcast in the coming year. I'm always grateful for those suggestions, and I'd love to continue to get them from you. So that's my thoughts for today. Again, I hope you've had a blessed summer, and I pray you will have a wonderful and restful Labor Day weekend. As always, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.